Greetings folks, and I hope you're all serving the public trust wherever you are in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for another figure unboxing and review. And today it's the turn of PlayArt's Kai and Square Enix take on Joel Kinnaman, aka Alex Murphy, from the 2014 Jose Padilha directed remake of Robocop. Usual format folks, box, accessories, figure, then showcase at the end. But before we dive in, yes, you've guessed it, it's shout out time, and a massive thank you to everyone who supported Go Figure, and please drop a like on this review as it helps other people find the channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the action figure related antics that we've got coming up. So, Robocop 2014, it was always going to be divisive, this one. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way early doors. Although it didn't totally suck, it has none of the charm, humour, originality or social commentary of the original. On paper, it should have worked. Great cast, big budget, good director, and some superb source material, but sometimes the sum of the parts doesn't quite equal the whole, and it fell unceremoniously on its metal arse. That being said, if there was no original, we might see this as a slick science fiction actioner, and it's most certainly better than Robocop 3 in my opinion. But what really stood out for me was the reimagining of the hardware, the updated Ed 209, and of course the slick, streamlined iPhone generation cyborg suit. But enough of my robo ramblings, onto the box. But before I have a look at the box, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Bry, who actually sourced me this figure. That's Bry of Bryman Art and Altered State, and I'll put links to both those pages in my in the description to this video below. He's a photographer, so check out those pages. But yeah, let's take a look at this box. And I've got to say, for my first foray into PlayArt's Kai, I think this is a cracking box. The figure itself was released back in 2014, pretty much the same time as the film. As I say, never had any experience of these guys' figures before. I think they've done a cracking job with the presentation. Loving this front cover. What you've got is a shot of the figure itself, really nicely photographed. You've got a warning in the top left-hand corner there. The Robocop logo. I like the colour scheme here with these greys, blues and reds. It says PlayArts across the bottom there in this highly reflective silver foil lettering. It says Robocop 1.0. Obviously, those who've seen the film, for those who haven't seen the film rather, there were two versions of Robocop. There's the Robocop 1.0, which is the silver and black version, and the Robocop 3.0, which was the all black version. But it's the silver and black one we'll be looking at today, but just really, really nicely presented around the side of the box. It just says Robocop PlayArts. Same thing on this side. On the bottom, you've got some credits and warnings. On the top, more credits and warnings and the Robocop logo. Swing it round to the back, and you've got some more shots of the figure itself in some rather nice poses there. Robocop across the top, and a plethora of warnings and credits on the bottom here. Don't piss this figure off, or it may tase an exoskeleton with a little asshole in it. Yeah. Box itself has got those Velcro fastenings on the front. It's that sort of book cover design. When you open it up, what you are greeted with is a clear plastic window with the figure and accessories underneath. On the left hand side here, actually worth noting as well, and I noticed this when I first opened it, what you've got going on with this clear plastic window is some detailing which you don't normally see on figures, but what PlayArts have done here is given sort of a gradiated edging here, and then you've got these lines and it says Robocop 1.0, and it just gives that slick futuristic feeling to the packaging. On the left hand side, another shot of the figure, and there's a brief description of the movie and of the two different versions of Robocop, and overall it's just it's got that super slick futuristic presentation, which I really like. I think they've done a cracking job here. Top left hand corner, it says Omnicorp, who are obviously the new version of OCP. It's not on Omni Consumer Products in this film, it's Omnicorp. So if I get that wrong during this review and refer to them as OCP, please forgive me. So yeah, that's the box, and very nice it is too. So without further ado, let's do what we always do. Let's get the accessories out and dive down onto the table and find out what you get with your Robo figure. Okay, so Robo accessories, what do you get? We will start with the hands, as we always do, you know me and my hand thing. You get 2 mechanical hands and 2 normal human hands, and let's grab them and have a quick look at them. Now, we've got to remember, there's a bit of age on this figure, but I think even for its age, it's pretty good quality here. The sculpt and paint applications are pretty good. There's an attempt at sculpting in fingernails there. There's weathering on the backs of the hands and an attempt at different skin tones and textures. There's some bone work in the back of the hands there. So overall, yeah, I think for its age and for its size, I think PlayArts have done a pretty good job here. This open palm hand. You also get a pointing finger hand. Or is that a trigger figure hand? That's a difficult one. I think that's probably actually a trigger figure hand. Or you could double it as a pointy finger hand if you wanted to. And the same level of sculpt and paint application on there, on weathering and detail. Pretty nice job there with the hands. The mechanical hands, the robo hands, they're very nicely done. You've got the sculpted in detailing here, the squaring off the fingers to give them that cyborg feel. The sculpting in the palms there is nice. Paint applications are pretty nominal here. I think you've just got one coat of black going on, this sort of matte black. But overall, I think they've done a pretty stand-up job here, PlayArts. Yeah, you get 2 of those. Once again, I'm assuming that this is a trigger finger hand and not a pointing finger hand, and this more sort of open palm thing going on. But yeah, overall, hands pretty good, so we'll pop those to one side. What you also get are, I'm not going to go through each one individually, but you get all these pieces as well. Now, these pieces, I am assuming, are for the thigh holster, because they look like they're pretty much designed, and they're designed to be the doors on the thigh holster itself. I believe there are 2. Sculpt's pretty good. It's not the best I've ever seen, but there are some paint applications going on there. There's some slight tonal changes in the center sections, and you get a whole variety of these pieces, as I say, for I'm assuming so you can pose them with those thigh holsters open if you're wanting to. So yeah, there's those pieces, and I'm assuming that's part for that as well. It looks like it is to me. I'm assuming they pop open. But we will find out when we construct him, and you get this piece as well. I'm assuming that's for holding one of the weapons in the thigh holster. You get this little bag of 2 silver pieces. Not sure what these are. I'm sure the construction process will reveal that. But yeah, those 2 as well. And they're very nicely detailed actually for their size. The paint applications on there are looking good, but we'll get those out when we build Robo. And finally, well, not finally, but penultimately, his 4 weapons. Okay, so you get we'll start with the 2 handguns first. Now, I don't know exactly which scenes these figure in, to be honest with you. I know he uses the more rifle-like weapon at the shooting range scene, and probably later on in the film as well. But on the whole, I think PlayArts have done a pretty good job here with the sculpting. Let's just get a close-up on this one. Yeah, the sculpt's pretty good. There's that sort of gunmetal grey paint application on there to give it that metallic look. And it looks like there's some silver dry brushing going on there as well. It says Omnicorp on the side there, and there's some red detailing going on, some silver detailing. There's no sliding functions or anything like that on any of these weapons, but overall I think the sculpt and paint applications are pretty good for the scale and the age. And you get 2 handguns. Not quite as much detail on this slightly smaller one, but overall same level of sculpt and paint application. And then you get the more rifle-like of the weapons. Now there's slight variation going on in these 2. They're not both the same weapon. One with just an extended stock. As you can see here, well, actually, there could possibly be. This could be a fold-down section here that I'm missing. But overall, yeah, the sculpt and paint application, very, very nice. And once again, it's got that silver dry brushing on top of that metallic grey paint to give it that metal effect. Yeah, nice job here from PlayArts. So that's all the weapons. And finally, the stand itself. Now, I'm not taking this out yet, but the stand itself actually comes in this with this card inlay attached at the back of the box itself, and you get all the instructions on the side here on the construction of those thigh holsters that we were talking about, and the stand itself. So what we will do next is what we always do. We'll bring Robo out. I will construct this stand stand off camera, because I think the last thing you want to see is an old man fiddling around trying to build a stand, but we'll bring him out, we'll get him onto the stand, get him onto the turntable, and have a close-up look at him. Okay folks, so here's Robo, straight out of the box, straight onto the stand and turntable, and first impressions. I've got to say, first impressions are very, very good. I think PlayArts have done a cracking job here. The scale looks great, the paint applications look right, the proportions in particular look nailed on. Joel Kinnaman's a tall guy, and they've got those proportions just right, but yeah, overall it's looking very, very promising indeed. Worth mentioning at this point, actually, the stand. It's a bit tricky to put together. I mean, it's not a complete disaster or anything like that, but it does take a little bit of time to put it together, and it is a little bit fiddly. One of the issues with the stand, as you can see, is where he's positioned on it. Now, it comes with two waist grabbers. This is the smaller of the two. It does come with a larger one as well. And this section here is adjustable, so if you're wanting to, you can have him positioned a little bit further forward, but that involves using this one, and this one tends to grip him around the chest area, which I think is a bit intrusive and throws off the look a little bit. So it's a bit of a compromise. I've gone for him slightly further back with the smaller of the two waist grabbers, showing a bit more acreage on the stand, but I think it's a better look. And also as well, it takes a bit of construction, the stand, and model makers will recognise these sort of snap fix type arrangements where you have to pop out the pieces and then put them together. There are some small parts and it can be a little bit fiddly, and what I would recommend as well is if you're picking this figure up, these edges where the parts come out can be a little bit sharp, and it can leave residual plastic on the pieces that you're constructing. So use a nail file or some sandpaper. I used a craft knife just to trim them down so they don't get in the way of the stand. But yeah, overall impressions are very good. But we will do as we always do. Let's stop him from spinning and have a close-up look at Robo. Let's get him off this stand and get him into shot. He's brought the stand with him. Yeah, okay, that's the thing. We'll put that to one side. Let's start with the feet. Now, these feet are pegged directly in, as you can see the ball joint there. There is some forward and backward movement, not a lot of sideways movement going on there, but you will get some forward and quite a decent amount of forward and backward movement there. Feels like there's that ball joint is ratcheted as well, which is nice to see, so it clicks there, so it's going to be able to support itself quite well on the stand, probably without the stand as well. But yeah, the feet are nicely sculpted, the metallic paint applications are really good. There's weathering on the front there, there's sort of, and if the light's catching, there's blue and touches of purple airbrushed in there just to augment that metallic look. But yeah, overall I think they've done a cracking job on these feet. Now this guy comes in at, I believe, about 9 inches tall, which puts him in the 1/8 scale range. Not normally a scale that I go for in the collection. It's a little bit unusual, but I think they've done a pretty good job here for the proportionally for the scale. Moving up, and it's all sculpted plastic, this figure. You've got these armoured sections, the shin sort of guard armour sections here, and once again you've got weathering on there, you've got dinks and scratches on there. It's not overly weathered, but you've got dry brushing and what looks like maybe airbrushing as well to give it that shaded look, which is nice to see. The knees themselves are on a ratchet joint, and it's a sturdy ratchet joint, this one, which is always a good sign for me. You can probably hear that clicking there, and the legs will go back to about there. Unfortunately, you're not going to get much more out of these legs because there's these sections that have been sculpted into the back there, which are going to get in the way. But you'll get, I don't know, that's probably, it's somewhere between almost up to about, well, probably 45 degrees, 30 to 45 degrees, somewhere in that range. But yeah, moving up the thigh sections, once again, that same nice paint application sculpt there. It's not perfect, and that's what and it looks like that's been done intentionally. It's smooth, but it's not super smooth. It looks worn in, as it were. And once again, if the light is catching this, you're getting, there are some yellow and purple shades in there, and some blues as well when the light catches it right, which have been airbrushed on, which is nice to see. those thigh holsters that we spoke about in the accessories section, they can be a little bit of a pain in the proverbials. I've sorted one out on this side so you can see how it looks, but this section of plastic simply lifts off, and then you attach the two separate doors that we looked at in the accessories section, and you attach the actual holster section itself into the plastic underneath. And then you can just simply slot the gun into the holster. Both sides are holstered, and I believe there are two separate clips actually. I think we looked at both of those. I'll try and bring this back into shot. This clip for this side I think is actually designed more for the larger of the weapons, not the handguns. But yeah, the other side here is designed for the handgun, and I popped that into the holster so you can see how it looks. I think it looks really good. If you want him to have him going for a quick draw pose, we've got him here with one gun in hand and the other hand reaching down for that weapon. Really, you can muck about to your heart's content here. You can have him super clean without the holsters open at all, or one open, or both open. So yeah, a lot of options there for the display. Moving up to the top of these legs. Now these legs are attached to the main part of the body with another ratchet joint here, and another very solid ratchet joint, which is nice to have that reassuring click, which I do like to hear with these type of figures is there. And you've got a decent amount of movement. The leg will go out there, not too far, but yeah, you can. Those legs will open up quite nicely, and you'll get a decent amount of movement to the back and the front as well. In fact, this leg will go quite a decent distance behind him here, and I'm assuming it will do the same thing forward as well, which gives you a nice look at the inside of that leg there with the weathering on the black sections that they've done. Nice sculpt going on there as well. This section around the crotch area is a much softer plastic. It's similar to the doors of the thigh holster, and it's good, I think, that they've done that, because when you've got these moving legs around here, the fact that you've got this free-floating softer plastic section is going to minimise the risk of rubbing and damage to the body of the figure itself. The abdomen section is sculpted really nicely. There is some weathering on there. You've got different greys going on in there to pick out the pistons and the detailing. There's some weathering on this crotch section as well, around the back. Perhaps not quite as much weathering, but you've got the same level of detail there, seeing all the moving bits in that abdomen section. Moving up to the chest plate. This is a harder plastic. Once again, it's got that metallic silver paint application. It does catch the light really, really well. I think this is, I can see why Bry went for this figure for photographs. I think when photographed, for a figure of this scale, I think it will look really, really good. Looking forward to the showcase at the end here and what we can do with it. But the weathering on that chest plate is really nice. You've got these sort of more almost burnt effects at the bottom here, which are a sort of a browny colour, and then you've got those hints of purple coming through again, which is nice to see, and the light plays off this really well. The arms themselves, once again, you've got I think this is a ball joint this time. Yeah, it's a ball joint. It's not ratcheted on the arms, but you've got a decent, I think probably do a 360. Yeah, the arm will do a complete 360 at the shoulder. The elbow itself, that's a ratcheted ball joint again, and you've got ball joints where the hands are too. Let's take a look at these arms now. I did notice this when I picked it up for the first time. These pads on the arms do move independently, as you can see here. The arm is stationary there, but the pads and the forearm there is moving because they're connected here, I think. Well, are they connected? No, I don't think they are actually. I think that's just the way it's catching. But yeah, you've got this sort of free-floating aspect to these shoulder pads, which is nice to see. As you can see, they lift. So they're attached there by a softer plastic. So yeah, you've got some give there. So if you are moving this figure around, going for some super dynamic poses, that shoulder pad will lift and not rub, which is nice to see. But once again, same level of paint application on there, a sort of repetition of those hints of purple with those sort of dark yellows and stuff, and there is a hint of battle. Not to say battle damage, but it's scuffed just the right amount. I think they've done a great job here with the paint applications. And you see on the back of that arm there, it's that hint of airbrush blue blending into purple there. I think it's just very, very well done for its size here. Let's take a look at the head sculpt now. Just the one head sculpt with this figure. I don't think you need another one. There's not an unmasked head sculpt. And it's got a decent range of motion in there. Let's get it right into camera so you can see this. And I think for its size, Play Arts have done a cracking job here. Those skin tones and textures underneath there are very good. They've most certainly captured the likeness of Joel Kinnaman. Not the easiest thing in the world to do at this scale, and only showing the mouth there. But yeah, I think they've done a cracking job on those skin tones and the lip section. There's a little bit of paint bleed maybe just there, but they can be forgiven at this scale. The helmet itself, really well sculpted. You've got that red dot at the side there. Would have maybe nice to have seen some red paint applications in that eye slot of the visor there, but they've just gone for the black. Around the sides, that detailing is continued in the neck area and around the back with those really small but nicely detailed red sections there and on the side. I think overall, I think they've done a cracking job here. I think, once again, I keep saying this, but for its scale, I think they've done an exemplary job here, and it really does want to be photographed, this figure. As I mentioned there before, I can see why Brian went for it. I think, it's just the way the light plays on it. So, yeah, there you have it, folks. That is Play Art's take on Joel Kinnaman as Robocop from the 2014 remake. Let's pop him back on this stand, if we can get this section back in. Yeah, as I say, perhaps not the most cooperative of stand. Let's bring those legs in a little bit and get him back in there and going for final thoughts. As I say, positioning him on this stand is not the easiest thing in the world because it's not the most cooperative. But we'll get him back into some semblance of a pose and get him spinning again and going for final thoughts. Right then, from the top. I don't think I'm going to be scoring this guy out of 10, simply because 1/8 scale isn't a scale I normally work in. I've got the odd piece in that scale, but they're not action figures. They're more sort of PVC statues. So I think it would be unfair to score him out of 10. However, I think Play Arts and Square Enix have done a great job here. I think the paint application is great. The articulation's very, very good. The proportions nailed on, as I mentioned before. I think, as a representation of Joel Kinnaman as Robocop, I think they've pretty much hit all the right notes here. It's not without its niggles. That stand is not the best solution in the world. I don't think I'll be using it in the display. I think he's stable enough to freestand. And I might be using something a little bit more in keeping with that Robocop aesthetic, but I think it serves a purpose. I think what really stands out here are the paint applications and the sculpt on this 1/8 scale figure. Very, very good. Another niggle is the thigh holster solution is a little bit fiddly. Yeah, it's a bit of a ball ache getting all the bits and pieces to fit in right. But once you do, I think it looks very, very impressive indeed. And as I say, I wasn't going to score it out of 10, but let's just say hypothetically you put a semi-automatic robo-gun to my head, I would probably give this an 8. Yeah, maybe an 8 or a 9, probably an 8. I think they've done a cracking job here, Play Arts, so if I had a hat on, I would take it off to them. So there you have it, folks. That's Play Arts and Square Enix take on Robocop from the 2014 remake. What are your thoughts on this figure? I will be fascinated to hear. What are your thoughts on the remake? What are your thoughts on Play Arts and Square Enix? What are your thoughts on their 1/8 figures? What are your thoughts on anything at all? Nothing is off menu, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. I would be fascinated to hear your take on it. What have we got coming up on the channel? Well, in the 1/6 scale world, we have action figures, new action figures from Hot Toys, from Pure Arts, from InArt, from Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, X06. The list is endless. We've got quarter scale statues and action figures. we have something very, very special coming up on the horizon, a grail piece that Mr. Go Figure has been after for a number of years and has finally managed to bag. I'm not going to give too much away now, but it will probably be one of the oldest figures we've ever reviewed on the channel, but stay tuned for that. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is please hit that subscribe button, bell notification icon, so you're not missing anything. And a massive thank you for watching. And from myself and from Robocop, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.